All right, YouTube. This Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. I hope y'all enjoying this beautiful Sunday morning. We're gonna have to have a conversation about Mayor Adams and Mayor Brandon of Chicago. Mayor Brandon of Chicago recently had a panic attack because of the migrant situation, because he's so overwhelmed by the immigrants coming into his city. Then Mayor Adams in New York is saying that the migrant crisis will destroy New York City. These two brothers have to be two of the weakest black mayors in the history of mayordom. At this point, Brandon in Chicago is trying to be angry and blame Governor Abbott because Governor Abbott is sending the migrants to sanctuary cities. Think about that. They volunteered to be sanctuary cities at the expense of the citizens of their cities. And then I know a lot of people, they want to say, well, the black people in those cities voted for them. They had no idea what they were voting for. Let me be the first to tell you. They didn't know what they were voting for. They've been lied to so much by the Democratic Party. You know what I mean? You know the Democratic Party is the plantation. That's just the party of the plantation. So, you know, when slaves was on the plantation, even when they got free, they wouldn't leave their master. They didn't know what to do without their master. He had always been telling them to do this and do that, so they couldn't think on their own. So they said, I'm not going to leave the plantation. I'm going to stay here. What I'm going to do without master? That's what you're seeing in modern day times. But what we talking about this morning is Mayor Brandon is trying to play the race card now. And he bought out Al Sharpton, the chief race baiter. You know what I mean? He's made his career off race baiting and manipulating the ills and woes of the black community by telling them it was always the Republicans or the white man or whatever, while he was getting the crumbs from the Democratic table, selling us out. So at this point, they realizing that the black community see you clearly. We're not listening to you. You know what I mean? We're not listening to you at all because we know that you sold us out for a global interest through the United Nations and other imperialists. So this morning, we're going to look at the weakness and the manipulation that they're trying to do as it relates to the thinking of black people about this immigration issue. It's for fair usage under the 1976 Copyright Act for commentary and educational purposes. Watch these race baiters.
30 buses have arrived in Chicago. And Mayor Johnson, thank you for coming on the show. Let me go right to it. The Chicago Tribune reports more than 630 buses have arrived in Chicago and the Chicago area in the past 16 months from Texas alone, carrying nearly 30,000 people in need of food, shelter, and a new life. What response did you get from lawmakers as you discussed this deepening crisis?
Well, thank you, Reverend Al, for having me on, and Happy New Year to you. Look, we have this international crisis that really requires federal intervention that local government is being asked to subsidize. A local government is not designed or built to handle such a crisis. And since I've been in office, we've had well over 500 buses show up in the city of Chicago. In fact, closer to...
Why did you want to be a sanctuary city? First of all, you knew all the problems that you had in Chicago. You knew you had a problem with crime. You knew you had a problem with housing. You knew the situation and the demographics in the community. You already knew that. You knew that Chicago had issues, plenty of issues. Why would you compound it then try to blame somebody else? Aren't you the mayor? Aren't you responsible for the well-being of your citizens? that voted you into office. Of course, they shouldn't have voted Democrat, but this is after the fact. Let's continue to listen to him make excuses.
600 now, over 855 flights that have come to Chicago. And now the governor of Texas is now chartering private planes landing in the city of Chicago and the surrounding area with migrants coming up from the Central and South America in particular.
Okay, I'm gonna let y'all hear, but I gotta say this. If I was a governor of Texas, I send y'all all the migrants too. Y'all said y'all wanted sanctuary cities and y'all said y'all wanted to help the world. You know what I mean? You asked for it, so we giving it to you. But I don't think the citizens asked for that. Never will I say that the black people who trusted you thought that you would betray them to this level. They didn't know that. They didn't know that you was this weak and wishy-washy. They probably looked at you, and because you were their color, they said, "Oh, the brother gonna get in there and do something." But at this point, black people, we already know every brother ain't a brother because of his skin color. We got to stop voting based on skin. Got to stop making decisions based on race baiting. Look how they are manipulating the situation. Look what they're saying.
The governor of Texas is committed to causing chaos. And what I've done over the course of my first 8 months in office is work to bring some structure and some coordination around this mission. Like you said, 30,000 migrants have come through the city of Chicago. Right now, we have 15,000 migrants that I am sheltering in 27 different shelters. Roughly 4,500 children are in our Chicago public schools. We are providing health screenings. We are providing vaccination for migrants. And of course, we are working towards work authorization to place these families onto sustainability. But again, this mission is not sustainable without the support of the federal government. And so my conversation with the Illinois delegation is, one, to make sure that we actually have an appropriations funding to actually deal with this crisis. Two, work to expedite work authorization. And quite frankly, Reverend Al, what we need is a nationwide coordination to be able to address this crisis.
No, it put.
Hell no. Nah. Detroit don't want to. We don't want to help you to house no immigrants. Chicago don't even want the immigrants. And you think that Detroit and Indiana and people in the Midwest are going to rally behind you and race baiting Al Sharpton while you flood our communities with these immigrants? Well, in Chicago, they call them migrants. You think we're going to let you flood our community with migrants while you sit up and make excuses, having a panic attack? I'm telling you, these are the weakest mayors in the history of mayordom. Coleman Young and Harold Washington is rolling over their grave to see how these black mayors got in here and sold out. What is it? What do Biden and be telling them to make them so wishy washy? You know what I mean? Is they using some kind of psychology or psychological Jedi man trick to get these fools to self-destruct their whole cities and their careers? Because his career is over. We wouldn't vote him to be dog catcher.
It's a tremendous burden on you and other Democratic mayors. I might add, many black mayors
Here come this ninja with the race bait. Watch how he takes it all the way race. You know what I mean? Al Sharpton is played out like a Coogee sweater. Ain't nobody listening to him. We tired of him lying and selling us out. You know what I mean? He is despicable and got the nerve to be a reverend. You know what I mean? This is why black people are walking away from the church. The church has been infiltrated by the Democratic Party. You see Joe Biden going up to the AME church and them chicken eating deacons letting him up in there. And, what happened to the separation of church and state? You know what I mean? It seems like this Democratic Party don't have any respect for the Constitution. Everything they accuse Trump of, they're doing. Ain't that the pot calling the skillet black?
has been the focal of this. In fact, on Thursday, New York City Mayor Eric Adams filed a $700 million lawsuit against 17 charter bus companies who transported migrants from Texas. What are your thoughts about the case, and is this an action you would consider taking as well?
Well, look, you're absolutely right about the intentions of Governor Abbott. He is attacking democratically ran cities, and particularly cities that are being led by Black leaders or leaders of color. This is unconscionable. It's a very raggedy approach, and quite frankly, not only is it reckless and raggedy, but it is evil spirited. And so, what we've done in the city of Chicago, I've passed an ordinance that calls for three things. One, that the state of Texas coordinate with the city of Chicago while buses are being sent to the city of Chicago. And so what we've asked is that
Why would Governor Abbott work with you weaklings? Why would he? You said you wanted to be a sanctuary city. So he's been overran because Biden won't assist in closing the border and stop this open immigration. This is your party, the Democratic Party. You keep trying to switch blame. I know Chicago people are mad as hell that they voted for you. You are a disgrace.
the various cities apply for a permit, drop the buses off at a one particular landing zone between the hours of 8 and 5:30 Monday through Friday, and then provide us with a complete manifest so that we can better prepare for these migrants. And as you've indicated, many of them are coming to the city of Chicago and throughout the entire country in very desperate, dire straits. They just need so much support. There's no health screenings at the border, no vaccinations.
The citizens of Chicago need help. The citizens of Chicago are in desperate need of resources. They're in desperate need of these monies that you're trying to get, and then trying to sue the bus company. Y'all are pitiful. You pitiful. Your solutions and blaming other people. Aren't you the mayor? Aren't you the mayor? Why don't you pull a Governor Abbott and put your foot down and don't let him up in Chicago? Your citizens don't want him. Nobody in the Midwest wants these Venezuelans. We don't want the Africans either. How about that? You think y'all can bring Africans over here, and because we're black, we're gonna say, yeah, bring us out, bring us some Africans. We don't want them. We don't want the Venezuelans. We don't want the Africans. We don't want the Chinese. We don't want no immigrants that came across that border illegally in our neighborhoods, walking around unvetted with no ID. We don't know who they are, what politics they have uh, globally. Stop playing. You playing in our face at this point.
There's not a very clear approach to how we actually put these families onto a pathway of sustainability. And so the ordinance that I passed, other cities around the city of Chicago have passed that ordinance, again, just to bring some structure and some coordination. I know Mayor Adams signed an executive order to do just the same thing in the city of New York. And as far as this particular lawsuit, look, I think we have to do everything possible to bring some coordination and some structure around this mission. Yeah. And absent the act of Congress to invest in this mission, again, our local economies will not be able to sustain this mission.
Because the lack of coordination, as you raise in your ordinance, I've seen where when Mayor Adams in New York made particular specifications in terms of time drop-offs and all with these buses, they just dropped them off in New Jersey. And I saw clips where you talked about they dropped some migrants off 100 miles away and told them they were dropping them off in Chicago. So there needs to be some real coordination here. Let me go to this. Your new budget includes a significant amount allocated towards improving social services for low and working class people in Chicago, and notably $500,000 for a new panel that will study whether and how it's.
What we need to do is close the border and send they behinds back where they came from. That's a solution. I think that we should not patronize any businesses that will hire immigrants. If you're hiring immigrants, we do not want your services, even if they're state services. We have to learn to take care of our own in our own communities, period.
City should pay reparations to Chicagoans who are descendants of enslaved African Americans. Can you talk a little about how the...
Look at this sly. Look at this sly devil. Now he's going to act like he's for reparations. So, you know, he wants us to think now. If we help with this, we're going to get reparations. We already know that the reparations is going to other countries to help them and the migrants. They've given the reparations away. So we're not even talking about reparations at this moment right now. What we're talking about is the destruction of our community and our societies as we know them. Stop trying to trick us, Al. Stop it, Al. We see you.
Reparations study will work?
Look, absolutely. You spent some time in Chicago and you know the history of the civil rights movement and the city of Chicago. As we prepare to celebrate the life and the legacy of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., he came to the city of Chicago.
Here they go. Here they go. Martin Luther King would have welcomed the immigrants. Martin Luther King would have said, let's take care of the Venezuelan criminals. Martin Luther King would have hugged them. He'd have let them live in his house. He'd have gave him his coat. And Martin Luther King would have been wrong. And we'd have been going off and dragging Martin Luther King. Because clearly, this goes against the best interests of our communities in this country. So stop it. Stop bringing Martin Luther King into this. This is you, Negroes. This is y'all being puppets for the Biden administration. Let's make it plain.
Chicago, fighting for housing, fighting for public accommodations, and his words still ring true today. If we can figure it out in Chicago, we can do it anywhere in the world. And that's the impetus behind this study. Look, Black folks have been stuck at the margins for generations. I've been a part of social movements working alongside of you and, of course, Reverend Jackson. Schools have been closed in the city.
That's why we ain't got nowhere. Because you've been a part of it. You and Al. You race baiters with no real social programs other than they did it, he did it, while y'all line y'all pockets, while y'all grab the money and run. Nobody is listening or believing you guys. We're exposing you for the charlatans and the weaklings that you are.
Chicago, throughout the country. Health clinics have been shut down throughout the city of Chicago. In my budget, I do a couple of things. I reopen mental health clinics, and we stand up a brand new office for reentry. Individuals who are returning from jails and incarceration, we are standing up an entire office to make sure that we're investing in these families. This is very much part of the legacy of the new Jim Crow. And so this study for restoration and reparations is really to right the wrongs of a very, very evil, bad past. And as Dr. King said, we're going to figure it out in Chicago and be a model for the rest of the country.
Yeah, and I remember
no, you're not.
I was younger, it was not even talked about. Now you have Chicago, you have California, the governor of New York just signed for a study. Reparations is no longer a marginal issue.
Of course, that was MSNBC. You know what I mean? You know that was them. Now let's see what this guy in New York is talking about. Let's see the other weakling.
This site says warning about the recent influx of migrants, many arriving on buses provided by Texas and Florida.
This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City.
Mayor Eric.
See how he comes in? This issue will destroy New York City. The question we asking you, Mayor, is what are you going to do about it? You don't have to take those buses. You could turn them around. You're also worried about what Governor Abbott is doing down there. When they get to New York, turn the buses back around. Let them live in consistent transition. Turn them around. Man up. Grow a pair, as they say.
Adams says the city is already running a $12 billion deficit, and it could cost another $12 billion to address the migrant crisis in the next few years.
Every service in this city is going to be impacted. All of us.
City schools also affected, taking in nearly 20,000 more students. Adams is demanding more financial help from the Biden administration, while Republicans seize on his comments. A statement on House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's website says liberal Democrats are finally coming to terms with the reality that the Biden border crisis is hurting the country. But critics call Adams' comments fear-mongering, saying despite the upfront costs, immigration is key to a healthy economy. Meanwhile, in Chicago, migrants have been sleeping on the floors of police stations and even at O'Hare Airport, reportedly behind these curtains. The mayor speaking with our station ABC7 saying the city is now working to move migrants into large tents.
Before inclement weather sets in, we fully expect to have these base camps established. This is who we are as a city, but it will require sacrifices from every single level of government.
In response to New York's mayor, the White House said it is limited in the ways that it can help without action from Congress.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News.
So this is who got voted in. And I know nobody wants to take responsibility for voting them in. You know what I mean? It was a massive blunder. We thought they had common sense, and they didn't. So now they try to race bait and blame other people for their betrayal of their constituents. And they asking Biden, help us, help us. Biden can't help you. He's barely cognizant. Biden don't even know what's going on in your neighborhood. Y'all know that? Y'all know Biden is totally unaware of what's going on in New York and Chicago. Somebody has to tell him, where he's at. So how he going to help you? They're not going to help you. They're trying to collapse the society, collapse the community, overrun the community with immigrants. And the black people in those neighborhoods don't want it. White people don't want it. The only people that seem to want it is you Democrats and you race baiters. And we just really want to know, what's your end game? Do you have an end game? Clearly you didn't think this out. This is Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Signing to you out of Detroit. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.